by the Rockwall Sportscenter Heath Hawk Update. I'm Chris Curtis, joined by the captain of the broadcast for the Hawks, Steve Deere. And Steve, what a heartbreaker on Friday at AT&T Stadium. Looked like the Hawks had made a game-winning drive of it, but man, oh man, Garland, Jacoby Williams, 2 lobs in the end zone, and there was your ball game.
Yeah, it was one of those just strange games. You know, the Hawks dominated the game, just pretty much had their way with Garland the entire game, ran up and down the field, stonewalled them completely on defense the entire game. Every stat was in the Hawks' favor except for the one that really mattered, and that was the field goal.
Talk about the game in general. It looked like we have a quarterback now in Cannon Smith. Man, he looked good out there, and of course Ben came in and played some as well when Cannon went down. But do we have our man in Cannon for this drive now?
You know, it really seems like we're watching him grow up right before our eyes. He's really shown improvement in the passing game the last several weeks. Of course, we always know that he can run. Just really showing leadership out there. Yeah, I think that, I don't want to obviously count out Ben Mays because he's going to play a big part of this team going down the stretch. But, yeah.
Let's talk about the game in general. Like you mentioned, he pretty much dominated that entire game. They held an offense that was #1 in the area for the first 2 weeks of the season. Kind of talk about what you saw out there, and that defense really rose to the occasion at AT&T.
Well, you know what? Here's what I was talking about with Troy Mackin in the booth. Is it really reminded me of last year when Heath went to Cowboy Stadium, AT&T Stadium. I keep saying that. And they played with Euless Trinity. They played up a really good, solid team. It really provided a springboard for them for the rest of the year because defensively, that's when we realized, really for the first time last year, hey, this is a pretty good team. They can hold Trinity like they did. Well, same thing this year. A high-flying, potent Garland offense, and they were able to really shut them down, except for maybe 2 drives. The entire game, there was 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, every single one. Garland could not get anything going. We've got a pretty good defense on our hands here. Heath is going to be a force to be reckoned with both sides of the ball, especially defensively going into district play.
And the exciting thing is, it is a young defense right now, so that defense is going to grow and grow. You got to think Mickey Moss was happy, even though he was a little deflated after the game, him and his crew. You got to think he was happy with his team's outcome at AT&T Stadium this Friday night.
Overall, really proud of our kids. I think that was a great atmosphere. It was a great football game. We just had too many mistakes, and you know we're going to correct those. But it was a good learning experience for us going in the district.
All right, Steve. Well, in this journey at AT&T, stay with the Hawks. They're 0-2, but they have absolutely played lights out at AT&T. They've come out with 2 heartbreakers. Kind of talk about the atmosphere for the Hawks this year, maybe even compared to last year. But the Hawks left it all on the table at AT&T.
Our booth was way up in the far corner of the end zone, away from most of the action, away from the crowd. There were times in the booth, even with my headphones on, that we were having a hard time hearing ourselves. That was how loud both sides of the crowd, give it to the Garland fans also, they showed up as well. But as the game went on, and difficult to get there for a 5 o'clock kickoff, Heath fans showed up, and they showed up loud, and it was obvious, even from way up where we were, that they were creating a great atmosphere, a loud atmosphere there in the stadium.
Well, first things first, the fun is now over. District now begins. The new season begins. 2-1 going into this. What are your thoughts right now as we enter district play with this Heath Hawk program right now?
Well, they're further along than I thought they would be at this point, honestly, just because of the huge amount of turnover from last year. So they're, like I said, they're further along than I thought. They're better than I thought they would be, quite honestly. And that's credit to those guys and to the coaches that have gotten them to this point. Out of the frying pan into the fire, so to speak, walk away from a game like AT&T on Friday night against a team like Garland, taking on the preseason favorite for district in Poteet, and then right after that, the other one of the favorites in Terrell. They've got probably their 2 toughest district opponents right off the bat once they hit district play.
Let's talk about Poteet, a team that came into our house last year and beat us. We're going to their house this week, and kind of tell me about what you see in Poteet. They lost a lot of stars, just like Rockwall-Heath did. They went and played some D1 ball this year, but first things first, you got to face them, so tell me about Poteet.
You know, on the surface, you say, hey, they lost their 2 All-Americans, Malik Jefferson and McNeil, who are both playing down at UT this year. Hey, they're going to be a lot depleted because they've lost those 2 guys. Not so much. I was looking at it just this morning. I counted 7 all-district players from last year's team that returned this year. So they've got a lot of talent back. Their quarterback, who was the sophomore of the year last year, Caleb Fletcher, he was the district sophomore of the year. He's back, leading the team again. Running back Walter Don Jr., who was an all-district offensive player last year, he's back. A number of offensive linemen, a number of defensive players are back. They didn't lose nearly as much as the Hawks did, and they just kind of reloaded. So they had a real tough early schedule. They played Lancaster. They played a really good Wiley East team. Tough couple of games to start the year with. They finally got off the mark with a win this past week against Berkner. They're a lot better than their schedule suggests that they are, and they got a lot of talent in a lot of places.
All right, you got to think Mickey Moss and his coaching staff has hands full this week. Let's see what he has to say about his team's upcoming game against Poteet.
They have a lot of speed. We hopefully we can run the ball better consistently against them. Defensively, we feel like we've got a good game plan in place, and slowing them down and trying to figure things out and getting our kids in the right position. Coach Strama's doing an outstanding job. Offensively, Tyler McAllister getting the ball in his hands more, and then Tanner and McAllister, Jackson, Sally, Mark Bilski, Grant Buckho, Tanner Hooten, all those guys, the ability to contribute on the offensive side. We need to be balanced, but we've got to get it to Tyler McAllister downhill a little bit more than what we're doing. He's averaging, I think, 10, 11 yards a carry right now. So he needs to be touching that ball about 20 times a ball game. We want to keep him healthy throughout the year, but he's got to carry the ball. We got to find ways to get the ball to him. So he's big production for us. And if we can do that, I really think it'll be a good game for us.
All right, and don't forget, if you can't join the crew, the Heath Hawk crew over at Hanby, it's not at Memorial this year. That stadium's still being remodeled. It's at 7:30. You can join Steve and his crew at 7:30 at www.rockwallisd.com. So, Steve, on the road to start district, here we go.
Yeah, I like Hanby Stadium, by the way. That's a neat stadium to play a game and to see a game in. A really nice older stadium that they renovated several years ago. Beautiful stadium. We'll be back at Mesquite Memorial, I believe, later this year when we play West Mesquite. They'll be opening it up by then. But, yeah, come on over and support the Hawks at Hanby. And if you can't, like you said, listen in, and we'll do our best to bring you the game.
All right, let's get district started at 7:30 this Friday at www.rockwallisd.com. We'll see you next week, Hog Nation.